Hi there. So we were the planning team for the If Local event at 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas. My name is Erica, and I'm on staff here at 121.
I'm Alita. I'm a volunteer here at 121.
Hi there. I'm Jessica, and I'm also on staff here at 121.
And I'm Melissa, and I'm also a volunteer.
So back in late November, early December, we made the decision to forego the plans that we already had in the works for our annual women's retreat and dive headfirst into this If Local. This left us just about 10 weeks to plan, and we knew right away that we didn't want to let our women know about it and then leave it to them to participate. We wanted this to be a concerted effort for the women of 121 to be a part of something bigger than us and to really put our stamp of support on what God was doing through Jenny and her team. So we got to work.
From the moment that the If leadership decided to launch If Local, they made it clear that their heart was for the local church to really make it her own, and so that we did. This table is where we met every single week leading up to the If gathering. It became almost a sacred place for us. Normally, it would have been covered in laptops and notepads and Jimmy John's wrappers, but a lot of brainstorming, decision-making, and fervent prayer took place around this table.
First, we had to decide just how involved in the organization of these groups that we wanted to be. We decided pretty quickly that we really wanted If Local to be unified, as if this was our ladies' retreat. So we planned to find and organize the host homes in groups and leaders, provide meals and snacks, promote it heavily church-wide, all the things we do if we were planning our own normal retreat.
We knew the hardest work was going to be educating our women about the If gathering because for the vast majority of them, this was going to be brand new. So we got to work right away sending mass emails to all the women in our church. We set up our own If 121 local Facebook page, and in the meantime, Jessica began working on recruiting host homes and leaders.
At 121, we do most of our community through what we call life groups. Some of these are all men, some are all women, and the rest are mixed. I began reaching out to the life group leaders of the women's and mixed groups, first to see if they thought their ladies would want to participate. We let them know that the only requirements for being a host home was high-speed internet access, a way to view the webcast, and then plenty of comfortable seating. Everything else we would take care of. If the answer was yes, I asked them to let me know who they thought would host their group and who would be a good leader if they themselves did not want to take on that role. At the same time, we began getting emails and phone calls from other women in the church who wanted to be a part of either hosting or leading a group.
We were still getting lots of questions, so we made a couple of videos to help answer some of those. One was a short video that we showed during the worship services one week that was more of just a teaser to get women interested and keep the buzz going. It just gave basic information about what we were doing and what the If gathering is. The other was a little longer and gave a brief history about If. It broke down the different moving parts of the weekend and explained how we as a church were getting involved and how they could participate. We also did some lobby promotion where we set up a fun little table and had some informational bookmarks that we handed out to ladies in between services for the 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the gathering. We basically made it our goal to reach the women of 121 through every possible outlet so that no one was left out of the loop.
Next, we had to set up registration. We decided to have the women register through us, and then we would take a cut from each registration and send If one large check after the event was over. We settled on $50 for the registration fee, and 20 of that would be their contribution to the If, and the rest would cover their 3 meals on Saturday and snacks and retreat materials such as the t-shirt and the journal.
Yeah, we already had a working budget in place for our women's event, and so that helped us to keep our registration fees pretty low. Now, if you have a more limited budget, you could always consider charging a little more or providing a little bit less. So we opened up registration on January 5th to give our ladies plenty of time to figure out finances, to rearrange their work schedules if necessary, and get childcare worked out for their kiddos if needed. We also provided an opportunity for women to donate scholarships when they registered to help pay for someone who might not otherwise be able to go.
We knew that most of the groups would form naturally, and so we really just let that happen. When women registered, the only things we asked for besides their contact information and shirt size was their life group leader, and women from 121 they knew if they weren't plugged into a life group. Probably less than 15% of our ladies did we actually have to place in a group. Most of them just let us know who was in their group and where they were meeting. The ladies that we did have to assign, we made sure to put them in with women they knew and consulted them ahead of time so that they were a part of that decision. Each group also decided on whether they would spend the night together or just go home and reconvene on Saturday morning. We tried to give as much freedom as possible for the groups to make this weekend work for them, but still be unified in what 121 as a whole was doing. So if they needed to start a little bit later than others, that was okay. We made sure that they knew how to work the webcast in order to fit their needs.
Throughout all of this, we were communicating with all of our host homes, making sure that they had everything they needed to be as ready as possible for the webcast. We had them run multiple tests with the church's webcast or other live streams, and we equipped them with any necessary cables or adapters that they were missing.
So then came the logistics of the weekend. The only meal we did not provide was dinner on Friday night. All of our groups were starting at different times because of work schedules, so it seemed impossible to try and coordinate that. We just gave them ideas such as doing a potluck, going out, ordering in, or cooking together, and we left it up to them. We did communicate to the leaders that if they chose to go out, they should be sensitive to the financial situations of the ladies in their group.
Now, hospitality is something that is very important to us here at 121, and so we knew we wanted to provide each group with everything that they needed to relax and enjoy the conference. So we sent each leader home with packages that had snacks like granola bars, Chex Mix, popcorn, and fruit, some continental-style breakfast items for Saturday morning, journals and pens for each lady, communion elements, plates and napkins, a box of tissue, a case of bottled water, their t-shirts, and of course, chocolate. This really was in hopes to free up the hostess from feeling pressured to provide all these things so that she could be all in on the conference as well.
For the meals on Saturday, like we said, breakfast was included in the hospitality packages, so they could enjoy that or do something else on the way in. For lunch that day, we provided boxed lunches. We had them all delivered to the church, and then a group of men from 121 divvied out the boxed lunches and delivered them to each of the host homes. Not only did it keep the groups from having to figure out that, but it allowed our men to serve us in a unique way. The women absolutely loved it. So this really allowed our women to stay in community without being distracted by lunch.
For our leaders, we provided them with a packet at a meeting we had the night before the conference, and it contained a tweaked version of the leader's guide if provided on their Tumblr page, along with contact numbers they might need throughout the weekend, and then the conversation cards to use during the breakout sessions. We made sure that everyone felt as equipped as possible, and then another thing we offered was the use of the venues at our church as a backup plan. That way, if something technical came up during the conference that they couldn't remedy, they could just head up to the church and then pick it up from there.
So since the conference ended at 5 p.m. and we don't have Saturday services, we decided to take advantage of that evening and had all the women meet back up at the church once the webcast ended and enjoyed dinner all together and then capped it all off with a time of worship.
We transformed our worship center into one large, if local, table gathering. We catered in dinner and ate together from about 6:30 to 7:30, and then we had a time of singing, testimonies, some table discussion, and an opportunity for the women to respond to all God had done in their hearts over the weekend. It's almost like we got the best of both worlds. We got to really go deep with our small groups during the conference, but then all be together in one room to celebrate.
In total, we had about 180 women participate, and so about 24 groups. It seemed like a big undertaking, but God really was faithful to go before us with every step of the planning process. If there's one thing we would encourage you guys to do is to get creative in how you plan. Tap into the personality of your women in your church. Use your giftings and resources to make it a weekend that changes everything. He truly did bless our obedience in taking this risk, and we know He will do the same for you. Happy planning!